is coming into focus, Carrie. Looks like we're live on YouTube. Fantastic. I will go ahead and start the webinar. All right, welcome to another QuickBooks Power Hour. Today, wow, it's my son's birthday. I guess I should wish him a happy birthday.
Happy birthday, Noah.
Today on the QuickBooks Power Hour, we're going to be talking about some QuickBooks Online updates. And normally we have Michelle Long joining us, but she is not here. She's in Ecuador or somewhere on the way to the Galapagos Islands. Her son is getting married, actually is married, and he's getting commemorated with his new bride in Ecuador. So she is taking the day off for her to spend the time with the family. So we appreciate all that she does for us. Of course, you can join us in the Facebook group, the QuickBooks Power Users group for 13,000 and growing. My name is Dan DeLong, owner of DanWit. Worked at Intuit for about 18 years, co-host of the Power Hour, as well as the workshops with our guest host today, Carrie Kahn, over at schoolofbookkeeping.com. Technically editing the QBO for Dummies, which with all these changes that keep happening in QBO, it's very difficult to keep up to date with a printed book, but they like to do that. So I will continue to do that as long as they want to do that. So Carrie, you want to introduce yourself? You've joined us before, but for those that haven't seen you before, go ahead and who are you and why?
Am I? I am the owner of Complete Business Group. We're in the reseller channel. We run a large network of partners, 750 and growing, who buy QuickBooks under us at a discount and have the chance to earn residuals and commissions. I'm also in the Trainer Writer Network and also one of the partners of School of Bookkeeping, where we create content. And Dan and I do the weekly workshop Wednesdays.
Yeah. Well, thanks for filling in on, especially just short notice, what I asked you yesterday.
Yeah.
Like, I like having another person to banter with rather than, just
it's not as much
speaking. Fun. It is not, right? Yes. The more the merrier. So a little bit about the QB Power Hour. If you're just joining us, it's every other Tuesday, not eligible for CPE. Some of the things that are coming up, managing multiple payment methods with Bookkeep, and actually Dawn Brolin's going to be joining us on that one. Fun. So that should be fun. And then, unfortunately, last time on the Power Hour, I can't remember the date, but both Michelle and I unfortunately had flight cancellations, and she was going to be doing the year-end cleanup and books review recap that she did at Scaling New Heights, but unfortunately she wasn't able to do that. So on the 30th, she's going to redo that, or because I'm going to be out of town that time. And then on the 13th, Carrie's favorite subject, desktop, is not dead.
No.
So we're going to be talking about what's new coming in QuickBooks Desktop, and Carrie and I actually did get a sneak peek, and it's not just one feature this year.
No,
so
they're working hard. It's amazing. So
yeah, so we'll have some new updates on the desktop side of things. Today we're going to be talking about QuickBooks Online. So Carrie will be scowling at everything we'll be talking about.
Not scowling. No.
Scowling New Heights. We should make our own.
They just have a long way to go feature wise. That's all. There is
a disparity. That's for sure.
It's not anything I can control. That's probably the scowl is just having lack of control.
Right. It's not what you would do.
Not what I would do, but I'm not in charge. So.
And then on the 27th, we'll have an interesting QB Power Hour on September 27th. Jonathan Bell is going to join us, as well as Trevor Lee from Genius Sheets. Ooh, I can't spit that out.
Okay.
So we'll be talking about QuickBooks Online and Excel, like using spreadsheets. So we'll talk a little bit about Spreadsheet Sync, which we'll kind of honorably mention today. But if you go to the QB Power Hour website, you can see all the upcoming events and register for them there. We have the PDFs of all the slides and the recordings and the podcasts and all sorts of other things at qbpowerhour.com/resources. And then on our website, you will have the events of what is actually happening today or currently and upcoming, so you can kind of bookmark those for your website or on your calendar. And then also during today's webinar, I do want to we'll throw out a poll question because we're considering changing a few things about how we do things with the webinar itself. So I want to get your feedback about that as well. So a little bit of housekeeping, because it is just me kind of managing the questions and the chats and whatnot. If you have specific questions about the topics that we're going to be talking about today, please put them in the Q&A. You should see that at the bottom. If you have just general chatty comments, just go ahead and put them in the comments there. And then, of course, we have the handouts, which as I will. Once I'm running a poll, our first poll question, I will put the link to the handouts in the chat, so you all have access to that. But if you just go to qbpowerhour.com/resources, you can get them there as well. So speaking of first poll, here we go. What version of QuickBooks are you currently using to support your clients? So where is the polls now? There they are. Okay, 1 second. Launch that. So Carrie, are you mix and match or both, or you prefer desktop over
the client?
There you go.
And a lot of times they come to us and they need to track job costs and inventory, and it's just all in one. So a desktop tends to be the answer. If they have simple needs or they're really looking at an app that works well with QuickBooks Online, then we recommend that. There's a question in there in the Q&A. Is there any chance the deadline for DT restart will be extended? Because they talk about.
I've never heard that they extend. Well, they typically do. They used to when I worked there. They would extend sometimes the deadlines, but I don't think the deadline will be extended.
I thought the desktop is still at the end of year cadence, different from online. Online was moved to the summer. Or recently.
Yeah, I'm not 100% sure. We'll have to double check.
I usually get my CEs at the year end, and I go flying in there to do the desktop at the year end. So I don't let those roll into the next year.
Got it. So let me go ahead and share the results here.
Oh.
So most folks are both. Followed pretty closely by only QuickBooks Online. So let's go ahead and talk about our agenda here. So we'll talk about the price change updates. So if you haven't been aware, there is an impending price change. We'll talk about the dates. I think yesterday was one of those milestones. We'll talk about QuickBooks and MailChimp and what it means to you as a ProAdvisor. Talk about some of the things with QuickBooks navigation that has changed. Any QB. There's the scowl where we were waiting.
I wasn't happy with those, but we'll talk about it when we get to them.
There are some changes with QBO Accountant, the chart of accounts experience. I'm using air quotes there, so that's the way they're talking about that. There are some changes with QuickBooks Payments, Payroll, and QuickBooks Online Advanced. So we'll kind of roll all those into one. So let's go ahead and get started here. Now, if you're watching this on YouTube or on the webinar itself, for anything that has a specific article, I did create a QR code. So if you just want to grab your phone and download, we'll download the handouts from the website. But if you're watching the webinar and point your phone at the screen, you should be able to get to the websites listed there as well. So the price increase again. It seems like we just had this conversation last year because we did.
I predict, and as they may kind of allude to, that this is just something to get used to, and this time of year.
Yeah, it's something to get used to when it comes to pricing updates. I mean, a lot of I mean, it's not just QuickBooks anymore. You know, it's pretty much across the board with things that are raising in prices these days. But with QuickBooks, pretty much all across the board with Simple Start, Essentials, and Plus, the monthly is increasing $5. And there were some dates. I had them here. One second here.
We're just talking about the US pricing.
Yes.
I haven't gotten word about the Canadian pricing going up, but it probably is too.
Correct. Yeah, I wouldn't doubt it. Let's see here. Where did they? I had notes here.
So
of what dates? What do you have it handy?
Oh, those dates.
Yeah. What dates they were actually? Hold on a second.
I know that the QSP channel, just to confuse it even more, we don't have it until September.
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask you.
Everyone else was around. It was the weird date, like July 18th and then August 1st. And I think you said the reason it's the 18th is because it's 2 weeks from August 1st, which is into its new fiscal year. So, yesterday was a Happy New Year.
All right. I found. So July 1st for existing Simple Start and Essentials customers. So that went up July 1st. And then all new subscriptions was the 18th, which is 2 weeks prior to August 1st, which is into its fiscal year, new fiscal year date. But yesterday, all existing Plus and Advanced customers who pay directly for their subscription. So we're not talking about, anything under your wholesale or ProAdvisor preferred pricing, firm build, whatever they're calling it now, where you get the discount and may or may not pass that along to your customers. That is not what we're talking about. It's existing direct build Plus and Advanced started yesterday, so they will notify those ones by email. Actually should have been July 1st. So those customers should have been notified that the price was increasing. And then September 1st, this is an interesting one. So for subscriptions enrolled before July 18th through the ProAdvisor preferred pricing program or legacy accounts that still have wholesale discounts. So that was a mouthful. So basically anybody else is September 1st, and these are base prices, right? So whatever your discount is, if it's 30% or if you still have legacy on your wholesale, it's off of this, right? So Advanced
unless your discount's
$20.
Expired, which happens too.
Yeah. And if you remove a client from your wholesale and bring it back in, that's a trigger event to cause the new pricing to take effect. So Denise is saying Canadian prices went up too as well.
Yep.
All right.
And the other thing is, back to the desktop thing, the recert was what ended, but you can still get the full cert. So I just wanted to close those out. And the website crashed that last day. You had to do it June 30th. No surprise there. So now at least you can still do it, but you have to just do the whole thing again. Got it.
And Beverly pointed out that the chat is disabled. I just re-enabled that, so you should be able to chat and comment in the chat. So what we've what I wanted to talk about is that over at School of Bookkeeping, Carrie and I have kind of partnered together because she's in the reseller channel. There actually is a commercial reseller option, and that is one of the ways that Intuit is suggesting that you bundle some of these things in with your service. And you can do that as a traditional wholesale, under the ProAdvisor preferred pricing. However, Carrie, one of the things that prohibited you, like you had always said, I'm not doing that. And why does that? Why did you have that knee-jerk reaction with doing like the firm build ProAdvisor preferred pricing?
Because because years ago before we even were pushing the online, we were, moving desktop to Right Networks. And I started doing this with Right Networks. And I thought, oh, let's give the customer the right price. So I passed along exactly my price, not even thinking about the admin time, the credit card fees, and then more importantly, the administration of sales tax. So there's a lot of work that you have to do just to pass along your own price, and you're actually upside down in it. And then I had the customer not even pay for it, and I was on the hook. I was still paying Right Networks. It was automatically billing me. And I was like, wow, that was a big mistake I will never do again. So I shut down the option, and I've got PTSD from it. So that's my knee-jerk reaction.
Yeah. So what we realized is that we were already kind of crossed the threshold with a lot of those things with what we were doing over at School of Bookkeeping with subscriptions and whatnot. So what we were offering, or what we thought we would be good, is to bundle QuickBooks Online with our service at School of Bookkeeping. Because some folks are saying, do we get better customer service agents? Well, I'm not Intuit, and we're not we don't work for Intuit anymore, and that's a great question, but for our purposes, what we're starting to do is we're starting to find some of those folks that were great customer service agents, and give them a new home over at School of Bookkeeping. We have a quick answers option where they can come in and chat and be able to get back to work. So we're starting to bundle those things together. So this is a good way to try to do that. If you're interested in checking it out, there's a QR code there for the bundling. So MailChimp is one of those new acquisitions from Intuit, and they're offering a discount for ProAdvisors. So all paid memberships to MailChimp receive a whopping 15% discount off of that. So but you have to be gold and above in a ProAdvisor. So that means that you have to have that threshold of either being passing a certification, or the enough points to be above that gold tier in ProAdvisor. All right, so QBO navigation. So customizing the business overview. So I remember Carrie, when QuickBooks Online was first coming out, and the way it was positioned to us as technical support representatives, they would be like, "Oh, imagine that you don't have to worry about what version that they're on, because in desktop you have all these different versions that you can potentially support. You have other desktop software that could potentially be different versions of Windows, and it was like, okay, here's the great thing. Doesn't matter what version they're on, because of QuickBooks Online, they'll all have the same view. Well, here we are coming full circle with QBO navigation. You can now customize things. So and you may see that as a bookkeeper and accountant, where you have multiple clients, and you go from one client to the other, and the view's different, right? So nothing more maddening than that. But now on the business overview, this is going to be starting in August. There is a business overview, kind of like a home page, that you'll be able to customize the dashboard widgets. So you can maybe change, do something with the reordering, put things that are usable for you up at the top, to make them easily seeable, and resize some of those coming in August. So just to keep you in mind, just keep you on your toes, right? So you may see that ability to change those things, because when we're talking about accountants and small business owners, we're really talking about, if you can see on the left side there, there's that's actually the business view. Yes, Carrie.
So this button that says the word bookkeeping, Is that to
Mhm.
connect up with Bookkeeping Live that like gets our
Well,
customers distracted
let's
to,
let's
uh,
see here. So I just want to switch over here. So this, what we're talking about here is this business view as opposed to the accountant view. So under the gear, you can switch to from business view to accountant view. So let's take a look. We've got our bookkeeping. We've got all sorts of stuff. We've got the books review,
okay, that kind of, not the
right?
Bookkeeping Live
Not the
solicitation?
not the QB Live solicitation,
Okay,
right?
okay.
Um, And then the next thing that we're talking about here is you'll be able to customize this left navigation. You know, you can reorder, you can check off the options that you
Mhm.
don't use. This is only for business view users. And then you can also reorder those bookmarks, and that's starting in July. So if I pop over here and go down to this gear, customize this menu, uh, it will look a little different because you can actually move things around. This is right now, this is only the bookmarks that I can do. But in the screenshot here, you can see that it's check marks with the left menu, and you can enable the main areas, but then you can also highlight and rearrange the bookmarks as well. So highly customizable by user, so that you can have, you know, people who are doing AR and AP type of tasks, they can always have those available to them inside of their QuickBooks.
Where they have
And
on
just
the left, it said pay and get paid. Can you from that, because that's a lot of stuff in one button. That's your AP and AR. Can you then inside of that bookmark like just the invoice stuff instead of the vendor stuff?
let's see. Let's see what we got. We got vendors. It's whether you're going to see it or not. I imagine it's not necessarily going to be. So if I check that there, yeah, my bookmarks are just down here on the business view, so I can make them as many as I want
Okay,
here. So, but pay and get paid is it's always going to have the same things within that main area. So
okay.
if I unchoose this, I won't see anything there, but I can still put my bookmarks
Okay.
for me down here. Right?
Okay. That's
Good
helpful.
question. Yeah.
Well, I thought that was a
All right.
lot crammed into one little bookmark. And two
Yeah,
totally opposite things.
right. And then you've got this collapsible, and then when you're in one, then it hides this, and you kind of have to memorize which one you are. But hovering over them it does bring those things able to be seen. So I typically stick in accountant view, except for the new chart of accounts. So we'll talk about that in a second. So in QBO Advanced, this is like an honorable mention because that's
Well,
all you're doing is mentioning.
you said
Go ahead.
advanced, meant accountant.
Oh, accountant. I'm sorry. I always
This
now I'm
QBO
getting
with the
because
letter A or
yeah. So with QBO accountant, that we
accountant.
have an honorable mention. So you know you can do notes inside of your client notes inside of your dashboard. And now what you can do is you can mention someone. So you can mention a user, and it will send them a notification and an email and those types of things. So you don't have to get out of your notes in order to have those notifications sent. So you don't have to draft somebody an email to say, "Hey, look at this
Right.
client." You can just mention them by using the @ symbol, and then it'll bring up a list of users, either team members or clients with that client, and then it will send them a notification. So it's a nice little way to kind of consolidate some notes. Okay. Now, this chart of accounts experience, use the air quotes there because as it first launched, I noticed on the Facebook group that this was met with less than desirable feedback. The thing is that it is changing pretty significantly. So the old way of what you see on the left side, Carrie,
Yeah. Yeah.
Carrie in the chat, it stinks. Yeah, it's I mean, at first you could merge accounts, you could sub accounts, and those types of things, but it is it is changing. But of course now, the big thing is I saw about fixed assets. It's having difficulty doing that, but definitely provide feedback because it is something that they have changed since they've initially launched it. But yeah, the old way on the left side of creating accounts and modifying accounts is what's pictured on the left, and then this is the way it was yesterday on the right. So
Wow.
and that's not the way it looks today. I mean, that's not the way it initially looked. When it was initially launched. But the easiest thing but you can get to the old way still by in a client just by switching to business view, right? So if you're in your chart of accounts, which of course now I don't know how to navigate as a business business review. There we go, my chart of accounts here, and I create a new account. The old way still shows up, right? So I'm in as the accountant user. I just switch to business view, and I can get to the old way, right? So if you're, because if anybody loves change, it's accountants and bookkeepers, right? Especially when you're dealing with something as fundamental as your chart of accounts, because this is where you typically live, and as a business owner, you can't even get to it, unless you click on that. Let's see under the hood, right? Like you have to actually know what you're, purposely get into the chart of accounts. But if I go back and switch to the accountant view and create a new chart of accounts, this is the same company, right? Now we have this slider from the right side, which is consistent. Now this slider coming in from the right is now consistent with other things like customers and vendors, which I'm sure also met with less than desirable results for accountants and bookkeepers. But it is a consistent quote unquote experience, right? So, you are able to create sub accounts because you just hit save account under, and then create this as a sub account right here. You choose the main accounts at the top, and then
can you do it under or just one level?
Yeah, this brings up your chart of accounts as it is right now, right? So
okay, so could you do under that another sub?
Yeah. So
okay.
Yeah. So if I wanted to do another kind of account, I would just call it, test expense.
Oh yeah, there you go. Okay.
All right, and now you can see the preview of how it would look on your chart of accounts right there. Right, so you can modify it pretty quickly up here at the top. So it is a little getting used to, right? For sure. And if you do like the old way of doing things, then you can certainly just flip back over to the business view, and then you'll be able to see it there. All right, we'll talk about QuickBooks payments because Carrie loves QuickBooks payments.
Yeah,
and this is one of the new. Louis asked, can you add a parent account with the new start of account chart of accounts? No, yes, you just choose.
yeah,
Let me go back. Let me go back here.
I was just asking how to do one nested under an existing, so you just wouldn't say.
Yeah, you would just choose income, right? Like income is your is the main type of account, right? Like, so whatever it is, it'll have a main one, right?
Oh,
so,
yeah.
Right. So it is required, right? But you cannot choose nothing, but it has to put it somewhere, right? All right. So with QuickBooks payments, now the bank ID is now passed back. So what happens nicely in QuickBooks Online when you're using QuickBooks Payments is once you invoice or send the payment link to your customer and they pay, you're pretty much done with entering those transactions because the payment, once it's paid, will automatically get entered into your QuickBooks. The fees will be categorized to the fees. Fees at fee section or wherever you map those fees to go to, and now the bank deposits, they automatically get recorded, right? But now it's automatically matching from the bank ID. So this is just that next step with where it comes to auto reconciling these transactions. So a bank ID is going to be passed to the bank, and in this case, you can see it's a Bank of America is on the screenshot there, not the QuickBooks checking account. If you prefer not to use that, that's totally fine. It'll still work the same way, but as you can see, it's now automatically matching that from the bank feed when it comes back in, because it knows that particular deposit was from a QuickBooks payments deposit. So just taking that to the next step. Now, speaking of QuickBooks checking, which used to be called QuickBooks Cash, but now you can actually do check deposits. So want to make it more of a checking account as opposed to a cash account. So if you're using QuickBooks checking, which is an online virtual bank, right? It's not there's no bank tellers with this particular bank account. But now you can do mobile deposits, and the check image will show up in QuickBooks. So you can see over here on the right side the image of the check, so that you don't have to wonder what that was for, rather than saying mobile deposit, which typically is what happens when somebody does a mobile deposit on their business banking. It just has this generic mobile deposit, and then you actually you don't have any idea of what that check was actually for and who it's to. So it will give you an idea of what the check was written, who it was written from, so that you can do that exactly in like Carrie. This actually is an increase in value for once.
Yeah.
Right. And then we also had, Relay. They had come on, and they do a check image capture as well. So if you're looking for a business banking alternative, Relay is a great one. They're partners of the QuickBooks Power Hour. All right. So, and a lot of people didn't know about this one with QuickBooks Payments is auto recurring invoices. Now, in the old days of, if you have an automatically recurring payment, QuickBooks Online, you have to set up a recurring sales receipt so that it automatically charges the customer's credit card or bank account on that prescribed date.
Then it's really
now,
cash basis.
Yeah, and you have to set that up ahead of time. You have to get the authorization form and in what you're supposed to do, right? I mean, it doesn't mean that everybody does, right? Luann said it's in past May. Yeah. So what these updates? So let me go back to the one slide here. Starting in May means it already started, right? Because what I'm trying to do here is make sure that everybody is aware of the updates in QuickBooks, at least up until this point or in the near future. Yeah, that would be disappointing to have to wait till next May for for mobile check deposits.
And go back to that, so that we had a question on that. This is only for QB checking bank account, right?
Yes. Yeah. So you have to have a QuickBooks checking bank account and use the mobile check deposit, from within your QuickBooks Online app.
And I have a question that's actually a couple slides ago. That customization of your buttons, is it only in the business view, not in the accountant view? Okay. Yes,
only in the business view to customize. So, recurring payments. So when you if you're setting up monthly bookkeeping services or anything like that, in the past, what you have to do is put in sales receipts and make them recurring, and have the form on file that you've got that authorization to do so. I mean, you still want to have your engagement letter and those types of details, but with charging somebody's credit card, you normally would need it to have that authorization at least on file. All right, now you no longer have to do that with auto pay. So what happens is when you send out the emailed invoice, on the customer side of things, there is an option, right? They put a check mark into recurly pay this, And then what happens is you still only have to send them the automatic invoice, but it'll automatically get paid for that. It automatically charges their credit card. Typically, it's like 3 or 4 days prior to the date on the invoice, so it actually will settle at the same time as the auto invoice or the recurring invoice is created. So they can choose to do that on their own schedule, and that way the customer is entirely in control of the whole payment situation. So they can modify their payment schedule. They just do everything on their end. So it's a nice little added feature with being able to auto pay recurring invoices. So that avoids having to set up those recurring sales receipts. You just create an invoice as you normally do, and then send it to them, and then they're in control of doing that. Now, the flip side of that is that they're in control of doing that. So it's up to the customer to mark that option. So if you want a little bit more control over that, then go the route of creating the sales receipt and marking that. Angela wants it mandatory. All right. And this is a QuickBooks online payroll, and this falls under the what took you so long category. So for those clients with QuickBooks Online Payroll and in the agricultural industry, finally they can submit and support a Form 943, which is the 941 for the folks in the agriculture. So the end of June, it should be available. It's just really a new form to select, in the drop down when you're setting up your tax returns or your payroll tax forms. And then you may have already noticed that QuickBooks Online Payroll, Desktop Payroll started doing this last month, but now in QuickBooks Online Payroll, multi-factor authentication, when you're doing something sensitive, like looking at creating an employee, modifying an employee, editing, those types of things, because it's so sensitive, the data is so sensitive, you'll start to get one-time passcodes, the code sent to your phone to make sure that those changes that are being made are authorized by the person that is logged in to do so. So those things are going to be pretty you'll see those things. You see them now with setting up new users and things of that nature, because there is so much sensitive information inside of QuickBooks. You want to make sure that those things are secure.
Yes.
All right. So I wanted to talk a little bit about the QuickBooks Power Hour in general. Some of the things that we were thinking about doing. We've been doing this. Michelle started this with Hector in, I think, 2017-ish, somewhere around that time period. And it's always been a webinar format where you have to register, and there's poll questions and the chat and Q&A, and we've been trying to think, maybe to make it easier for folks to join us and watch it later. Maybe we should just put this on the website, in the Facebook group, just kind of stream it and make it available. So we wanted to get your feedback. You're here. Obviously it's a little skewed because you've already registered for it and everything. So do you like the webinar format, right? So this is a multi option for poll answers, right? Like you like attending the live webinars to be able to participate, or you prefer to watch the replays, rather search on our website to do that. It really just it's just a pulse check.
They still be able to participate in the other method?
Yeah.
Chat.
Similar to what we do on the workshop, where we just kind of broadcast it out on our website, and they can, like, if you want to watch it on Facebook, you can watch it on Facebook. If you want to watch it on YouTube, you can watch it on YouTube at the same time, right? Or if you want to watch it on our website, you can do it that way as well. But you can also participate in the community wherever you happen to be. That's what we're considering doing. rather than, having people register for the webinar, get those reminder emails. Maybe we'll just go to like a monthly newsletter format where we'll send out newsletters where you can opt into those, get a newsletter of what's upcoming, and what happened, so that you can review them later. So we really appreciate your feedback. Carrie, I was talking a lot. What did you see you see anything in the Q&A that floated
Yeah,
by?
that's
Or
what
did
I've been
you just?
distracted with. It gets crazy, and there's people keep asking about CPE, and they must not have seen that you don't offer CPE. I see this over and
Yeah,
over. We still get CPE if we attend in person. There's no CPE on these webinars. And it looks like some people are just answering the questions. It's not a lot of questions around that check, the mobile check.
Okay, gotcha. All right, just wanted to make sure that we didn't miss any.
Go in the Q&A if
questions.
there's something you've missed, because the chat gets all full of stuff and people are answering for us. Okay. Well, so I guess one of the things is, if you do change your format, is there a way that they can get, because I live and die by my calendar. If it's not on my calendar, I forget. Is there a way how does that work? I'm just asking questions. I was on their side.
Well, that's one of the current challenges that we have with Zoom webinar, is that it's a recurring series. So if you add it to your calendar, it adds everything to your calendar. So it's every 2 weeks is going to show up on your calendar, which you may want that just to kind of block it out. And then if the topic and time permit, then you join in at that time. Which I think that has some value to it. However, if you see a particular topic that you want to block out on your calendar ahead of time, it doesn't allow you to do that, right? So it's kind of like a double-edged sword. So what we were thinking about, having that in more of a newsletter kind of format, where it's monthly, and then you can see what's coming up and then block that one out specifically on your calendar right from the newsletter. Or just watch the replays as we do today. We'll put them up on the podcasts and whatnot.
So the best way to make sure you don't miss it is to go ahead and manually block your calendar for this every other Tuesday, right? And then somebody was saying, go ahead.
Oh,
Unless you click in the topic on the newsletter.
Yeah, like that's what we'll try to do, is put it in the newsletter so that you can add that specific one to your calendar, not necessarily the entire series, if you didn't want to. All right. Okay.
Somebody wanted you to go over those price increases again with the effective dates.
Okay. So they're already in effect, except for your
reseller
firm build.
Firm build.
Your firm build, that doesn't take effect until September 1st. But everything is all new, and existing subscriptions should already have crossed the threshold to increase. And across the board, monthly is $5 for each subscription level up until advanced, and advanced is $20 a month. That's increasing. And speaking of advanced,
hold. I still have 2 more questions about this topic about your changing. Nobody likes change, Dan. So don't change anything. You will still, under his new idea, you still can do, I know they absolutely love this chat, I can tell. The chat, you can still do the Q&A, all that'll still be there, right? Mm-hmm. Okay,
yes.
And then
we'll still have a method for you to communicate. It just will not be like these poll questions. So we'll still have the end of session surveys where you can give us your feedback on those particular surveys, or on those particular sessions. You'll be able to comment just like you are in the chat. It's just we're thinking of a different way to make it just more readily available.
Easier to click,
because
get to open the
because you
audience.
know I don't want to block out an hour and a half of your day if you've got something pressing to do. But if you want to still participate, you certainly can. If we load it out onto Facebook, you can still add comments in there and still be part of the conversation as it goes through. Yeah.
Someone was also asking, because since you were mentioning about the newsletter, you said that's another method you could click and stuff. How do they receive your newsletter? Is it on the website to subscribe?
Yeah, if you go to the QB Power Hour website,
And while you're there, show where the videos are stored, because somebody else was asking that, and I just told them simply the website. So if you can show both places, that answers my question better.
There we go. All right, so our main homepage here. If you scroll down all the way to the bottom, well, okay, we're
registration. Oh,
yeah. There's a place to suggest a topic. I guess we need to add that.
You want to make a note on your little.
Yeah. So the suggestion is put a place to put in our our newsletter. I thought it was there on the homepage, but apparently it's not.
It may be sneaky, like when you sign up to register for the thing, it might just add you to the web.
Yeah, I think. Well, yeah, that's part of it, because when you register, you sit to save my spot. You're actually registering for the Zoom webinar, and so any communication is handled there. Now, what we can do is we can take those registrations and move them over to our newsletter format. So that everybody is in there, because we do already have a significant number of people already registered for the newsletter. We just haven't started sending them out and creating them on a regular cadence.
So somebody said, what if I don't do Facebook? It'll be on the website and YouTube.
Yeah, right. And we are simultaneously streaming this on YouTube. So if you go into our YouTube channel here, which is easily accessible right there in the upper right corner of the website, take you to Michelle's YouTube channel, and let's see, the webinar archive will have the current.
So will the webinar archive, they'll still have those? Somebody was asking, will this new format save your Q&A and chats like it does today?
Yeah.
Yes. Okay.
All right, and I'm going to put today's webinar, which right now is pretty empty, but it does have the handouts, so you can go here and grab the slides. But later on today, I'll put in the replay from YouTube, as well as the podcast as well, so you can always come back here later. Yeah.
So it sounds like, can I summarize what you just said?
Yes.
There's a lot of flying parts.
It's not changing tomorrow. So I just wanted to get an idea.
If you change, or even if you test it. So it's not as user-friendly with saving on your calendar. So we can actually do our own. We can do it. And then we have many ways we could run to the website. We could go to YouTube. We could go to Facebook. We could save it in our notes in our recurring webinar, a recurring calendar link, and everything that we're used to should be there. It's just that calendar thing is a little bit different. And then we also want to make sure we're in that webinar. We're in your mailing list so that we can see what's coming up. Okay.
Yeah. And as Susan pointed out there, yes, the Save My Spot here is going to be on the main homepage, which is just for currently the webinar registration. Right, so we would change this a little bit up to maybe register you for the newsletter instead of actually registering you for the webinar, if we decide to go this route. So it doesn't necessarily. I'm just trying to get an understanding as to what would be best for you, as our loyal following of people who come to the QB Power Hour. Appreciate you providing the feedback. So with regards to the changes to QuickBooks Online Advanced, there's a Fathom. If you're not aware, yesterday was the last day for Fathom to be included with QuickBooks Online Advanced subscriptions. The data is available on those bundled subscriptions that were in the past is going to be available until Halloween this year. But if you wanted to use it, if you wanted to run payroll, or I'm sorry, if you wanted to run reports in Fathom that was originally connected to and bundled with QBO Advanced, you would need to subscribe. And I believe you can get some kind of discount for doing that, but typically it's $44 per company per month. So it does add up. If you were using it pretty significantly, that's quite a change. And then of course you can see the QR code for the updates to the changes to Fathom. And supposedly the replacement for Fathom was the spreadsheet sync, which is available to QuickBooks Online Advanced users. It's available today. I have been working with Intuit to provide feedback, and we're going to talk a little bit more in detail about it at the end of September when we have Trevor from Genius Sheets and Jonathan Bello on to kind of kick the tires. And they have been very interested in collecting feedback so that they can make it improving. But it is only available to QuickBooks Online Advanced users as well as accountants, right? So your firm books are advanced, so you can access Spreadsheet Sync from there. And the idea is that it is the replacement for Fathom in that it will connect multiple companies and bring them into Excel. You can also, there's a little bit of the managing records, right? So you can manage your customers and vendors, chart of accounts, and several transaction types, modify them in Excel and push them back into QuickBooks. So I think it has great potential, because it does do something that Fathom never did, which would be update multiple transactions or list elements in bulk, which is I think a great. It has great potential of being able to do that for, if you have a default chart of accounts, you'll never have to touch that silly chart of accounts anymore if you just go into Spreadsheet Sync and then upload your list of chart of accounts into your new client. So that's something new. Formatting exports in custom report builder. So again, in QuickBooks Online Advanced, you have the custom report builder, which has the pivot tables, if you haven't seen that as well, which allows you to display those reports a little bit more easier to see than the way they show up in the custom report builder. But now when you export it to Excel, it will those groupings and subtotals will be part of the export to Excel. So you can see here on the left side, they've kind of combined row 2 through 15, and it's expandable in Excel. So that's something new for QuickBooks Online Advanced. This whole concept of in QuickBooks Online Advanced of premium apps, right? So it does kind of blur the, they are apps that you can still connect to other versions of QuickBooks Online, but the premium apps, either they're going to get a discount because they're using QuickBooks Online, or there is something specific that is only available in QuickBooks Online Advanced. So like this one, this one here, the Salesforce connector, is actually created by Intuit. So that is only available for QuickBooks Online Advanced subscribers. If it's something that's it's done by QuickBooks or done by Intuit, and that app, it will likely only be available. There's something that is only available. But typically, if it's something else like Lean Law or DocuSign, they're going to get some kind of discount on by connecting that app inside of QuickBooks Online Advanced over any other version, right? So just like Fathom, right? You could still connect your Fathom account, your Fathom subscription to QuickBooks Online Plus. You just had to pay for it in the past. Well, now you have to pay for all of them, right? So now there are a few newish premium apps. So now the Notify connector. Notify is for, as Carrie had mentioned, job costing for construction and contractors. Sometimes you need a little bit more than what projects will do for you. Notify is one of the more heavier used apps. So there is a Notify connector that's in the premium apps. Planning Maestro is more for creating for reporting, those types of things, and cash flow planning and those types of things. And DocuSign are on the list of the newest ones that are part of the premium apps. So our final question here.
This is what they don't want to go away.
Yeah. Yeah. So after you saw these things, because one of the things that I know about, being in this space for so long is, some of these things just don't even get noticed, right? So that's why I wanted to kind of take a moment, look back, kind of look in the rearview mirror and see what changes, because we look at the price increases and we go, well, what did they do, right? Like what's changed?
Have they increased the support? That was a question somebody, and there was a lot of chatter about that.
That is the goal, but I mean, you get good and bad. I've seen in the Facebook group, there's been some pretty good comments about it. So I would have to say that, on the whole, it's probably, getting better. But of course, Carrie and I called support and got bounced around 3 or 4 different times, trying to get
The problem's still
issue.
not fixed from March. Yeah.
Not bitter.
Not bitter at all. There's some questions. Can I ask you while we're?
Oh yeah.
How long does it take you to upload this thing into the webinar?
Well, it's streaming right now, right? So it processes. Typically, what I do is I cut off the first minute of banter, because I have to upload it or I stream it on YouTube right away. And then I cut off that first minute. So typically, it takes a couple hours to reprocess that video, and then I'll post it into the website. So by the end of the day, both the podcast and the replay of the webinar will be available on the website.
All right, and then if you want the spreadsheet sync, which I know is up for whatever debate on whether it's ready for prime time, can you pay for this in Plus, or you have to be in advance to get it?
I don't believe so. Actually, I'm having a kind of a follow-up meeting with them on Thursday, so I will ask that. But I believe it's only available for advanced users, and I don't think there's a way to pay for it for other versions of QuickBooks. All right. So again, our upcoming, so you can always go to qbpowerhour.com. So we've got a lot of questions about the website. So it's qbpowerhour.com. Our upcoming events, managing multiple payments. So we're talking about like PayPal, Stripe, those types of things where you have multiple payment methods across different sales channels. And having to manage that. So we'll have Bookkeep as well as Dawn Brolin, who's a power user of Bookkeep. So she adds that to her firm. So I want to really hear her perspective on how that's helped her. And then somebody had mentioned they couldn't find the 729 webinar. That's because there wasn't one. The year-end review or year-end cleanup and books review has been rescheduled to August 13th. August 30th. And then September 13th. Desktop's not dead. Maybe we'll have Carrie back on to talk about all the things that she loves about desktop. It's been somewhat quiet during this, but I appreciate you being here, Carrie, and giving
I've
your
been trying to
perspective.
help with all these Q&A and chat. That's why I look distracted. I don't
Ah,
like to
yeah,
leave anybody without an answer.
all right.
Some people keep saying they're
And
having problems hearing our show. Weird.
I don't know. I did move to from Maine to Massachusetts over the weekend, so this was the first webinar from the new location. So I'm on a different cell provider right now. Who
Oh, yeah.
knows?
And it's the beginning of the month, so hopefully you paid your bill.
Yes, I have paid my bill. And then QuickBooks and spreadsheets, where we'll talk a little bit more deeper dive about spreadsheet sync and other ways that you can work with spreadsheets in QuickBooks Online on the 27th of September. My daughter's birthday. Wow, this is the first year
These are
that
all
I've gotten
lining
both
up.
kids on their birthdays. And you can always go to QB training events to see if there's something that you can register for local in your area or virtual online through Intuit directly. So Carrie, again, thank you for joining us. We timed that perfectly. It's now 1 o'clock on the East Coast. So we did get the QB Power Hour in. And we appreciate you joining us here and hope to see you again on another QB Power.